Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live, although today is a recording. And in deference to the worldwide appeal and that this program enjoys thanks to modern technology, I thought we'd invite somebody from a part of the world that we've never had a guest from. And they have that, sorry, the same country has some challenges that Sri Lanka too has, like reconciliation and resilience. And so without further ado, it is indeed an absolute pleasure to introduce to you Nadima, a Afghan humanitarian. Very good evening to you.
Yes.
Sturdy Mashi.
Bon, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
So lovely to be here.
It's a great pleasure.
Yes.
The pleasure is
Thank
all
you.
ours.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here.
And I'm an Afghan woman.
An Afghan woman.
Yes, just a simple Afghan woman.
Is that what you are?
Yes, I am. I think simplicity is the key to our greatness.
Nadima,
Yes.
in my research about you, I find that you were born in Afghanistan.
I was born in Kabul.
In Kabul.
Yes.
And aged 1, you left to a place that's called Dubai. I dare say that you didn't have much choice in that move.
I was just a year old.
And just a year old. And then you moved to Canada from
Canada,
there.
yes.
Where you lived for over 20 years.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, and I suppose in that move from Dubai to Canada, you probably didn't have much say in that move either. But after approximately 20 years in Canada, you decided to go back home.
Yes.
To the land of your birth.
Yes.
And I was wondering what possesses one who has lived in Canada with a
Yes.
per capita GDP nearly at 52,000 United States dollars to a country whose per capita GDP is measured in the hundreds, $503 in 2021.
Even though we're richer than Canada.
You're richer than Canada? How are you richer than
Well,
Canada?
you know that Afghanistan, we have the most resources, probably one of the top resourceful country in the world. Just because we've been broken doesn't mean we're poor, you know?
Okay. So why is the per capita GDP remaining so low?
Well, we've been set up for destruction for over 21 years.
And who's destroyed you?
Well, nobody can ever destroy Afghan people. They can break us, but no one will ever destroy. But yes, as you know, in the last 21 years in Afghanistan, we've had destruction upon us justified in the name of terrorism. So a lot of war crime have taken place, and of course that has certainly affected everything in Afghanistan, our education system, agriculture, health, entrepreneurs. So yes, we definitely are healing from that. And now I am confident that we're going to overcome that, and we're going to rise above all these challenges that we had to endure.
You're a pretty well-known influencer in social media.
Yes.
And you've helped, I suppose, you've helped put Afghan into a different map than what it is known for in terms of wars and so on. But as a female, as a woman in Afghanistan, how do you cope?
Greatly. Afghanistan liberated me.
Did it?
Of course.
But
you also have a British citizenship, right?
Well, I have that
But
too.
you're home in Sri Lanka, and despite these challenges.
Land of my birth.
Yes. So you also are a great example for our youth and many Sri Lankans around the world, that despite where we live, we need to eventually come home and serve our community.
So you left Canada to
Well,
come home to
yes.
Afghan.
Yes, I think it was time.
But what did your family think of your move, of which you would have had full control of?
Well, you know, Faraz, everyone has, we have been fed these narratives about certain countries, certain groups, certain cultures. And Afghanistan was also fed to me the way it's been fed to you in many parts of the world. Yes, there's there's a truth to it, but I think there's a lot more that's missing that need to be told about Afghanistan, that can really create doors of opportunity for Afghanistan, that can really give people the inspiration to visit Afghanistan. So I too had those fears that, am I going to make it as an Afghan woman, a woman with a turban, and I'm a social media influencer? And I needed to face that. And I hope that many will start facing that. Because
Nadima,
we're always lied to, you know. We've been lied to for many years.
I see. But Nadima, I also noticed from your profile that you are a senior director, the senior director of the Women's Chamber.
Yes.
In Kabul.
Yes. Very, very excited.
So
about that.
what are your what are your challenges you face as in that role?
I think the West is the biggest challenge for us, the sanction, and how there's this claim for human rights, but it's not really implemented, and it's not really, nothing has been done for my widows and my orphans, especially those women and children that have been victim of the 21 years of war. So we are so lucky to have the Afghan Women Chamber reopen, and our new government, Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, is encouraging women to participate in trade and business licenses. So we have those, but then the challenges we're facing is with export and import, and we are faced with the banking system. A lot of our women that have businesses, their money are blocked away, and they're not able to withdraw.
Why would they be blocked?
Because of the sanctions.
I see. But are there any particular challenges that happen to be because of your gender?
I think, I don't understand. Are you saying the I'm not...
No, I don't talk about the sanctions. In life in Afghanistan itself,
I think,
from your...
I think women through history have faced challenges with being the secondary citizen around the world. I know
Isn't that very wide-angled?
No, I think that's an obvious angle. I think that's even women in Sri Lanka, even though I've had the great opportunity to meet some very strong women as civil servants, politicians. I've had the opportunity to meet retired bankers. But at the same time, women around the world are faced with these challenges, not just Afghanistan. But is Afghanistan factor of women negligence has to do with the whole world? Yes. If we claim as an Afghan Canadian woman, I also ask my Canadian government, how are we empowering the women in Afghanistan? Whatever that has happened, what does that has to do with my widows?
But Nadima, when you went back home to Afghanistan, to Kabul, I suppose?
Yes, I landed in Kabul.
Right. So at some point, you kind of disappeared for 29 days. You were detained by the authorities for 29 days, along with a business associate of yours.
Yes.
Why did that happen?
Well, it happened because, but here's the thing, in Afghanistan, when the new government, the Taliban came, I call it the turnover, and the turnover took place, everything started to get into a question. Some question needed to be asked. And obviously any foreigners, because of the history of our Westerners, they had to ask those questions, to ask what is a foreigner doing in Afghanistan and what is an Afghan Canadian woman doing in Afghanistan. So they never came to take me, but they came to ask questions about my team in my office. And I asked that if you're going to touch my team as an Afghan, if you're in my home, my guest, I will fight for you and I'll protect you. And I asked if they're going to take my team, I will also be taken. So, but it was a very, very good experience, you know.
It was?
Yes, absolutely.
Where were you detained?
In the Ministry of Interior, in a lovely space.
And your business associate, a male Canadian too?
No, British.
A British Canadian.
Yes.
British.
He's been here. He loves Sri Lanka.
Right.
By the way, Sri Lanka is a beautiful country.
Thank you. We'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so you were detained for 29 days.
Yes.
But Ian, your friend, was detained for a little bit longer.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, so
Yes.
let's say 42 days.
Yeah.
So you abandoned him after 29 days.
No, I did not abandon him at all. I had to come out and...
You protected him while you were inside for 29 days.
No, we were in different places.
You were in different places?
Yes, in different
places.
places.
I want to ask you something.
And do you know that he's the only Englishman that is living in Afghanistan locally, and he has these special cards where he can do anything he wants in Afghanistan, just like any local Afghan would.
Provided it's within the law.
Well, you have to respect every law. Do you not respect the law of Sri Lanka?
No, of course we do.
Yes.
Of course you do. But did you count his fingernails when he came out?
What do you mean?
Was he tortured?
Do you torture people in jail?
People, in some countries, you do.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, I counted.
Did you count them? Did he have all his fingernails intact? So he wasn't tortured. Were you tortured?
No, absolutely not. No.
Hand on your heart. You, honestly, you're not tortured.
Do I look like I'm a scared woman? Do I look like I'm
well,
I live in
know.
Afghanistan.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the answer presumably is that you were not tortured.
No.
But why? I mean, how come?
But you know what? It was very good that I experienced that, because if I would have not went through the experience, now a lot of people claim that they've been really tortured, but that's not always the case. So now I can confidently say that that's not always the case, you know. So there was other women with me, and none of them were tortured, you know. No. Absolutely
no. Last chance.
And then also we need to start realizing that not everybody is killing and torturing. I don't know, this image about Afghanistan is so negative.
I don't know about the image of Afghanistan. Perhaps it's the image of the Taliban. Now, tell me, how do you manage to live in a country where the government of the day is hardly respected or recognized even by much of the world?
Recognized by who?
By much of the world.
With the much of the world going to take accountability and recognize what they've done for 21 years to the men and the women and the children of Afghanistan?
Okay, but there are some countries who didn't do that. The Americans, you presumably mean the...
Yeah, but any country that is aligning with that sanction...
How many countries recognize the Taliban? Do you know that offhand?
No, but how many countries were in Afghanistan that tortured the people of Afghanistan? That's the first question we need to ask. Because it almost seems... Let's talk about the people of Afghanistan first. Let's talk about what's happening in Afghanistan.
And how are the people?
Great. And how come you've never visited Afghanistan?
I must do that.
Yes, you must. So see the truth for yourself instead of feeding the narrative that everybody's been blinded by it.
We must go. Travel broadens the mind.
Yes, please.
It does. Thank you.
And Sri Lanka can greatly benefit Afghanistan. We can both greatly
Do you
mutually
drink a lot
benefit.
of tea in Afghanistan?
Yes, you have the red tea.
We have red tea.
We have green tea.
Okay, but we have the world's best tea. There's
yes.
You can't...
I would love to have some of that in Afghanistan. We usually have the chai in the morning, so we have the red tea in it. It's really good tea.
I'll give you the number of Mr. T in our group.
Or maybe you can buy it for me as a gift.
We will let you have some tea from Mr. Jones.
He's great.
He's a great fellow, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
But no, in all seriousness though, when, where are the people? How are the
people of Afghanistan?
The people of Afghanistan coping post this war? Is the country razed to the ground? Is there a lot of construction going on? What's happening?
Well, the great thing about Afghanistan right now is one of the safest places to be. That's something very good. And of course, we're in the process of building, and we're in the process of inviting, and I hope that we can achieve that. You know, Afghanistan is a great space for trade, for business. It's a great space because of all the resources I have, and I know a lot of Asian communities and countries can benefit from it, and I think it is time that the Asian country starts coming together and start really reflecting on how they want to move forward together as a community and together, because I think we all been kind of under a specific thumb.
When did it all start? When did it all start going into this abyss of despair in Afghanistan?
I think it's been many, many years. I think Alexander also tried to colonize the country and destruct it.
What about Uncle Sam? When did they start coming? What was the catalyst for the Americans, the British, and so on to come to Afghanistan?
I think that's a great question. I think now the question is why they still sanction and why can they not just leave my country alone? Or come in, let's work together. Let's bypass the past.
What do they want? What are they asking for?
I don't know. What do they want in Sri Lanka?
Have you got oil over there?
We have oils.
We've got coconut oil, but I don't think they're interested in that.
We have lithium.
Right.
We have copper. We have gold mines. We have
It's getting more interesting.
emeralds. We
Okay.
have sapphire. We have rubies.
Right.
You know. Do you know the first ministry that was built when the American came into Afghanistan was the Ministry of Mining? Isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Yes.
But what do you... I'm asking this again and again. Is the Taliban tolerant of women's rights?
Well, the Afghan Women Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a great example of encouraging women to be independent and take control of their lives. And being the senior director of donor community, it gives me great joy to say that, because that's a huge step for the government to encourage women in this aspect. So that should answer your question, you know.
And thank you. And on that note, let's go for a quick break and take a peek at this evening's headlines from the wonderful prime time news. We'll see you on the other side of the break again.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali. TV1, TV for life.
SLPP and UNP join hands at President's office to contest local government elections together.
රයින් ලෙක්කමසිංහ මහත්තයාව රටේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා කරන්න අපිට ඡන්ද දෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපිට යාලත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න තියෙන මොකක්ද තියෙන බාධා?
SLPP places bonds for a series of local government bodies. Opposition alleges government is trying to delay the election. Cabinet approves electricity tariff hike with effect from 1st January.
මේක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පුළුවන් නිසා තමයි කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය තීරණය කළා තියෙන්නේ ජනවාරි 1 වෙනිදා ඉඳන් විදුලි ගාස්තු වැඩි කරනවා.
ගන්න තීරණය රටේ තියෙන ඒ නීතියට පටහැනි නම් ඒක ගලංගු භාගයක් නැහැ. මොකද පනත කියන්නේ රටේ නීතිය.
Trade unions protest against electricity tariff and interest rate hike. Rice fields turn yellow across multiple districts. Officials race to prevent the spread.
TV1, TV for life. Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. It's recording. I'm in conversation with Nadima. Nadima,
Yes.
you said that you feel liberated
Yes.
back home in Afghanistan.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Well, I get to have my own language, get to wear what I want. And traditionally, I get to have a sense of belonging. I feel welcome. I'm respected. I get to create content that is needed for the country. I get to serve a community that needs undivided attention, that's been neglected, that's been bullied, that's been tortured. So to be able to live in a community where I get to be part of this amazing shift that is taking place in Afghanistan, of course it's liberating. I'd rather be in Afghanistan and be part of the struggle and look backward and say I was part of it, as opposed to just eat, sleep, and go to job and never question my reality, which sadly is happening a lot in other parts of the world. You know?
So you're truly happy being back
I am
home?
very grateful. I'm very content. I am joyful. I love it when I'm meeting with lovely women that are eager and ready to learn new skills. I'm joyful to be meeting with the new ministers in Afghanistan and to be able to have them welcome me into their offices and to be able to have my voice heard and to be able to have this clarification about the image that was fed to me. I feel like living in Afghanistan has opened my mind and made me realize that we need to think outside the boxes, and we need to do our research, and we need to stop following certain narratives and certain labels that are created for separation and division. And
sorry, Nadima, and what about this whole business about, are you worried as an Afghani, are you worried that your government is yet to be recognized by much of the world?
Well, I think the most important thing we need right now is reconciliation. Forgive the past. Honestly, far as whatever has happened.
Yeah.
But now we're here in the present. We need to focus on how we can become strongest people.
How do you envisage reconciliation happening?
I think communication, conversation, and accountability. I think we need to start genuinely. The sound of the clap, we have the saying, is not one-sided. We, instead of blocking and putting sanction and endangering more lives, you know, the winter in Afghanistan is very severe, especially in Kabul. On Thursday, it's going to be minus 19, Faraz.
Minus 19?
And a lot of people are homeless.
On Thursday, it'll be about 33 in Sri Lanka.
Yes, Sri Lanka has a beautiful weather. So we need to think about the children. We need to think about the women. Yes, Afghanistan is a land of resources. Then let's explore these resources. Let's reflect on how we can move forward and mutually benefit as communities. And yes, it's strategically a great space. We're neighbors with Pakistan, Iran, Russia, China. We're like in the middle of a space, and we have all these superpowers around us. So
what about all these refugees who have taken refuge in Pakistan?
Yes, we would like for them to come home, you know.
But you have the resources with $503 US per capita income in...
Private sector is certainly the solution to our GPA. Private sector is certainly, but if we are now... That's something that I appreciate with the new government, is encouraging private sector and inviting people to do businesses. Because with our resources, especially with the amount of lithium we have trillions and trillions worth of untouched resources.
But
you know?
without that international recognition, without that sort of international legitimacy, if we are practical, we'd both agree that it's difficult without that.
No, but indirectly they are recognized. They're invited to all these seminars around the world. They're invited for meetings. We have UN, USAID, EU. Everyone is still in Afghanistan, and they're doing these meetings, and they're coming to different agreements. But I think, again, it goes back to what is really the agenda of the West. What does it really want to achieve in Afghanistan? We all know Afghanistan is a land of resources. It's a land, a very strategic space to keep an eye on your neighbors, you know. But I think it's time that the way I would like the West to come in to help build the community and equally benefit, as opposed to setting it up for failure and using terrorism and all that to break it down, you know.
Tell me about your work with widows and orphans.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of women that have lost their husband in the last 21 years that had nothing to do with anything, you know. So I think we need to create solution for these women. There's so much that my fan base can do, or individuals. I think it is time that we focus on skill programs, programs that will create independence. The women are very creative with their craft. These are all created by my women in Afghanistan. So trade is certainly the key to independent community, you know.
And what does that really mean? Because, you know, there's so much to do and so little to do it with. Almost a la Sri Lanka, really. You know, as you probably already know, Sri Lanka has declared bankruptcy in terms of servicing its loans and repaying its loans internationally. And we have all sorts of challenges here. and we'd like to do everything. We had the former president who wanted us to be all organic overnight. Poor chap.
How is that possible?
It's not possible.
It's a great initiative, but I don't know if it's possible.
No, it's not possible.
Because you don't have you have a lot of nice paddies of rice.
Yes,
right?
I know, but we have now stunted growth because they use their own fertilizer. But that's another story for another time.
You seem disappointed in your government.
I am very disappointed.
But does that if I may, Faraz, so see, you have this disappointment, which is fair, which is okay. But does that mean all Sri Lanka is bad? All the people are bad people?
Are you interviewing me?
No, I'm asking. I'm just looking for a space where we come to an understanding, because for me, it's important that we have empathy for the people of Afghanistan. And that we start looking at the people of Afghanistan as the people that have been victim of war.
Do you think that the Western powers that used Afghanistan as their fighting place, do you think they are showing a lack of empathy?
Yes, lack of empathy, lack of communication. But now I welcome you, I welcome everyone in the world to come to Afghanistan and work with us.
What did Mr.
And I welcome
Trudeau,
the people.
What did the Canadian government, represented to me by Mr. Trudeau, what did he have to say when you got detained for 29 days, apart from what your mum and dad said? What did Mr. Trudeau say?
Well, I believe you went through something. You had a little shooting that took place. You were shot at, right?
Okay.
But
I like this this penchant for dragging in the analogy to Sri Lanka, but I honestly want to know, what did the Canadian government say to you, and what did they do with whichever government was in power?
You see, what I would like, you see, we claim that we're liberated and we have freedom of speech. But what I would like my Canadians to now start observing the truth through their own eyes instead of the narrative that's fed. So what I would like my Canada to start thinking of how they're going to move forward with the people of Afghanistan from a space of what they claim human rights. Because right now, we need the slogan of equality for all humanity, because we don't have that in Afghanistan. You know, it's decided Afghanistan people are neglected, and the sanction is creating and destroying our economy and killing innocent children, and winter is here, and now we're going to lose more lives. So my question to the West is, how do we claim that we are for equality? Are we really equality for all humanity, or we decide who's going to be equal to the standard of the so-called human rights stage?
You said at the top of the program that you are but a simple Afghan lady with a dream.
Yes.
What is that dream, and how simple is that dream?
Well, it's empathy, communication, forgiveness, showing gratitude to each other, appreciating each other's humanity. I think it is time that we as people unplug from the system and start connecting to the people. And I hope that, I don't hope I'm actually doing that. That's one of the reasons I live in Afghanistan, is I want the people to see the reality that is not being exposed about Afghanistan. We have very strong women, we have strong men, we have a great community. The people of Afghanistan, despite everything they've been to, are patient, they're understanding, they're forgiving, and they've overcome thousands of years of war. We've had different kind of colonizers come and try to take the land because, of course, we have resources, we have extremely rich country, and we are in a strategic area where everybody wants to be in it. So I admire...
And even fight wars, apparently.
Yeah, I admire and I respect the people of Afghanistan. They're one of the strongest people I know. And that's one of the reasons I gravitate to this country, and that's one of the reasons I live, because it strengthens me. It reminds me that our first world problems are nothing compared to what they go. But they still wake up every day, they go about their daily lives, and they continue to have faith and courage, and they believe that they're going to be okay.
What's the single most one thing that keeps you going in Afghanistan?
What's that one single thing that keeps me going in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Courage.
Nadima, thank you.
Thank you.
You've blown the game away here. Courage. and resilience and reconciliation.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We look forward to welcoming you on our network and hearing from you
Yes.
about all your challenges
Thank
and
you.
how you deal with them.
Thank you for having me. It
It's
was
an
an
absolute
and I
pleasure.
love your country. You have beautiful people, very hospitable community, and I wish to Sri Lanka wellness as well. And I know your good time is coming. If we can do it, you can do it too. And I think it's a great time for Sri Lanka and Afghanistan to come together, because we need each other. We can mutually benefit each other for the greater good of our people.
Bohama Istuti. Thank you, Nadima. Thank you very much. And that's the way it was on Newsline Live this evening. Take care. It's now time for the primetime news. And as always, God bless you all.